you realize that you wanted to do music?
I always known. I mean, you can ask my mom. I was pulling out the pots and pans. She said by 2 or 3, I was in the kitchen, like hitting them with, you know, wooden sticks and everything like that. And my dad came in one day. I will never forget. He told her, he was like, you know, it's just actually got a rhythm to all of this. And that my parents were very encouraging. I actually started playing piano down in Puerto Rico. My grandmother has a piano in the garage, and I just one day just started playing. I would sit there for hours and hours and hours. The neighbors would come over and listen to me play. And then she was like, oh, let's get her lessons. I remember telling my aunt, she said, no, I don't want any lessons. I just want to sit here and play. So my aunt was like, just let her sit and play. And then actually my aunt brought me my first guitar when I was down in Puerto Rico. So I was about maybe 13, 14 years old. And then it was just craziness from there. Then I was hooked. It was my life. It's been my life ever since.
Catered to us in the past and they don't really exist anymore, or they try to create it to more like rap venues and more rap parties. What do you think of the New York metal scene right now? Do you think it's evolving, or is it like hanging by a thread?
I think it's doing a little bit of both, and I'll explain why. I feel that one thing that hasn't been in the metal scene's favor is different venues closing down or not being supportive of the metal scene. It's really hard to have shows in places where they're thinking, they're like, oh, what's all this washing, or what's all this dancing, you're going to break something, or someone's going to get really hurt, and they don't want to take that risk of having the show. That's what they're thinking. They're thinking, oh, this is going to be really bad. And the thing is that's not necessarily the case. In the metal scene, I've noticed a lot of people having respect for each other to where I don't see that happening. But I think that's been one of the biggest problems, is a lot of venues that were supportive of having metal, like heavy bands, have just been shutting down left and right. And the city's not necessarily the most supportive of keeping music venues open. And music venues, you know, there's another side to it as well. They need to generate money to keep their doors open. And if people are coming to see more dubstep DJs or hip hop parties, you know, then unfortunately they're going to book that over a metal show that they think isn't going to do as well, in which they'll be really surprised can and will do well. But sometimes they just don't want to take the risk, and I don't understand, because they're taking a risk with the other stuff, but they just see that it's always the bottom line. It's always the bottom line. It's always money. I think, you know, I think a lot of bands do have the right idea of trying to support each other. I certainly see that. I see that throughout all of it, even besides the metal. I see that in the rock scene especially. I mean, I hosted a show last weekend, and I saw all types of different people at this one, more rock show. And that really excited me to see. I was like, man, this is really cool that, you know, that guy plays in more metal band and he's here at the show. Or that person's more of a rock person, here they are at a metal show checking it out. You definitely see that. I love seeing that crossover. I think it's really important, and it benefits everybody in the long run. It shouldn't only, to me, it shouldn't only necessarily be about one particular genre. It should be like everyone going out supporting live music. It's really important. If we're not doing that, then we're going to keep losing these places, and we're going to keep losing these spaces to be able to do these shows.
Yeah, and not even that, the scene is so important, because I feel like when I go to local shows, that's my family.
Absolutely.
Everyone in the scene is my family, because they enjoy the same things I do and the same type of music I do, and I can't find that anywhere else. And when you lose that, you lose like part of your home.
Absolutely. I've gone to many metal shows and felt right at home, because it's either people I haven't seen in a little while or people I do see all the time, and it's like, oh man, I love this band. It is this big unity thing. You know, some people like to talk down on the scenes, like, oh, it's all elitist and this and that. But I do beg to differ a bit. I'm not saying there isn't elitists out there, but I do tend to, I beg to differ a bit, because I feel like overall everyone tends to be supportive of each other and want it to be better for all. And that's the attitude that we really need to keep. You don't have to love the person in this band or that band or whatever, but if we're all in it together, you know, there's power in numbers. It really is.
That's true. What advice would you give to anyone in a local scene or trying to build a local scene? What advice would you give them to like build it?
Sure. A lot of it is going out and being supportive of other bands. You have to go out to other shows. And you have to, if you're an introvert, you gotta maybe go with your friend who's a big introvert, center of the party. But you have to meet other people, or at least hit them up on their Facebooks, hit them up on their Twitters or Instagrams, whatever they have. and you know, introduce yourself like, oh man, I checked out your set, it was incredible. It's really important to network. I mean, and this is really, at the end of the day, it's really simple stuff, but it's really important to network. You do have to go out and support. I know sometimes it's tough, your job, family, life overall. Sometimes it's harder to get to other shows than to others, but you know, being out and about and being able to meet other people, it's really important part. You know, I recommend it to a lot of young bands to go support other bands, go see them. Even if it's not the whole band can't make it, that's okay. Maybe you gotta go, or send your drummer, or send your bass player, or your guitarist, send someone to go out there and represent and say, and, you know, just go out there and show love and be, you know, positive about it. And also be a bit shameless. It's okay to be shameless. Shamelessly promote yourself. I mean, how is anyone else going to find you? I mean, if you're thinking like, oh, I have a bunch of likes on Facebook, or that's nice and that's a good start. But it doesn't really mean anything sometimes. At the end of the day, it's that personal interaction. It's that connection. It's everyone networking and meeting each other. That's the advice that I would really give. And trust me, I know it's hard. You know, you work a lot, family, etc. But you know, it's really important to get out there and hustle. You still gotta hustle. Just because you're sending invites out on Facebook doesn't, that's okay, that's good, you gotta do that. But it's great to still have physical flyers, it's great to go out and meet people. It's an important part of getting your name out there.